Welcome to episode 4 with the Best Dressed Balls.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Molly, how are you feeling today?
Not great.
You sound better today. Molly called me yesterday. I don't know if she was like upping the congestion to get me to say that that she didn't have to do the episode today, but it didn't work. If she was,
No, my throat is feeling a lot better today than it was yesterday, but now it's a lot more congestion going up here. But like my throat is feeling a lot better. But for everyone, I've been sick for this whole week, so I've been trying to rally for the show. We're here.
Uh-oh. Well, sorry about that. If you could hear that, I have it on my phone. So, I'm glad you're here, even though you're not feeling so well. And I think just for everybody in the chat, Molly might dip out after a little bit just because she's not feeling well. So don't fret if she goes away. I just rewatched the beginning half over and over again because I know it'll be the best part.
Courtney's going to do so good if I leave. We'll see. I'll see how I'm feeling. Courtney, how was your week this week?
Very busy. We have been like pretty slam packed. Something pretty exciting is we have somebody who's going to be like helping us out. We hired somebody to come help us out on Fridays. So this is going to be his first Friday. We are super excited because it kind of means like we really have to do either one of us does all of something while the other person's inside with the kids. Or the kids are asleep and we're doing it together and it's like 9 o'clock, you know? So this way from like 5 to 9 on, Friday afternoon, we can get stuff done that normally takes 2 people. So, really excited to have somebody come on and help us out with like snakes and rodents.
That's going to make such a difference for you guys. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll be extending the offer for a new social media manager soon enough.
Charlie offered last week, so...
Yeah.
Before we bring on our lovely guests, I just got a message from my boss. Patrick alert. He says, ask her how many packages they've shipped this week.
So we shipped out 1 package this week, but it was a $10,000 snake. So I think we've probably, we're almost Chimera level as far as like income for the week.
We need a little Patrick alert symbol.
He gets his own ringtone. But yes, it was a bell. Oh wait, that was Steven. I thought it was Patrick. So if you would like, we could introduce our guest for this evening. Molly's best friend.
My favorite person in the whole industry.
And Steven can bring him on. Hey, Troy.
Hi.
You guys are both of my favorites.
Oh, stop it. You're lying.
I know. I'd be on my deathbed and I'd still show up for this show just for you.
I appreciate it.
I would have canceled.
You're by far the best patent of them all.
Yes. I knew I was going to get it.
I also cast my vote for you, Molly.
You've claimed Eli's spot, the top spot.
Thank God.
Troy, I dig the fish tank background. I really like that.
It's so dirty right now, so don't judge me.
No, I can't really. Like, your resolution's too crappy. I can't even tell.
Oh, sweet. Okay, good.
Already started on the poor people.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I didn't plug in a camera.
No, I'm just kidding. It looks fine. I was just being...
I literally, I was sitting here on my phone, and I'm like, holy shit, I've got a podcast in like 20 minutes. So I grabbed my laptop and I'm just winging it.
So you usually have a different background for every episode of Late to the Mic. And for those in the chat that haven't seen Late to the Mic, because I know you've seen our stuff and not Troy's, that's their podcast that they do Thursday nights. No, that was sarcastic. I'm sure yours, everybody here also watches
I actually
Late
think
to the
Late
Mic.
to the Mic sucks, so this is way better.
That's so true.
That's
every
not
episode
true.
You always say that it sucks.
Yeah.
But everyone loves it. They want more. They need it.
I listen to it while I clean rats, so.
People were so
if you guys
when we didn't have an episode that week.
Yeah. But so in Late to the Mic, I feel like you have a different background every episode, but you've moved to the fish tank.
I have, yeah. I kind of move around the house. I keep saying that I'm going to set up a certain spot, I even have like a late to the mic background. I think it's sitting in a box down at the studio. And I've just never done it.
I really like the fish tank. I think it's fun. It kind of makes me feel like you're filming in a Bass Pro Shop, which is really fun. I think that's a good time.
You could probably do that. You could probably.
I might go to the Bass Pro Shop like next Thursday and try to do late to the mic from there or something.
Yeah, that's actually what Josh Lumberg does. Yeah,
that's the only reason I went to Bass Pro Shops. Like as a kid, I would like beg to go as a kid just so I could just sit at that fish tank the whole time.
Whenever Josh calls me Courtney, I know that he's at Walmart.
Yeah, because that's the only place he has service. He'll up it and go to like a Cabela's and have the nice background. Yeah. So we're a part of Bob and Josh's Patreon, and they do like quarterly calls or whatever. And Josh is always like in his car on his phone, like looking down. It's so
like
funny.
It's laying down like in the cup holder.
Like it's just in his. Yeah, he's not even like holding or looking at his phone. His phone is like in the passenger seat, just chilling, and he's talking to it. Steven's coming over here. He already has some. Oh, I'm good.
They're already messing up. Jeez.
I guess so. I don't
know. Needs to bust out the wig. Oh, this would have been perfect for Partho.
Yeah, ladies' night. Come on, Troy. You're.
This is the best one.
My Davy Crockett wig.
Very nice. It's a good color match. I hope you'll be wearing that for the rest of the show.
I might bring the wigs to Tinley and wear one each day.
I don't think I could express to you that I would love nothing more than that. That would just be the best show in the world.
Yeah, maybe I'll even try to find a new wig. Like I try to find wigs at stores that are like $6 and they smell like mothballs. Because
Do you want some wigs? I'll bring you some wigs.
All right, bring me a wig.
Yeah. Unless I've thrown them all away.
I want like a nice like long I want like leg loss wig style wig.
I just want extensions.
Oh great, Patrick's here. There went my night.
No, I think that's just Steven commenting.
No, that one was
that's Patrick. Patrick's actually watching normally.
Yeah. Well, he knew Troy was on, and he got like green with envy, and he had to hate watch us.
I almost offered. I asked him. I was like, "Hey, you want to be on the show tonight?" And he was like, "No." He was like, "I am actually excited to not do the show this week." So I was like, "Okay, all right, that's fine."
Well, he gets to hang out with his buddy Troy tomorrow.
I just found out that our guest will not be available tomorrow night. So Patrick, I don't know this yet. I might have to be on the lookout for a new guest.
No, Steven's free, so you can have him.
Oh yeah,
all right.
Every cough sounds like I've gotten another carton of cigarettes down. So
sorry.
Every time I unmute, I feel like it gets worse.
You sound like you have AIDS.
Oh my God.
I do. I'm not just sure. I'm HIV positive.
Yeah, you should get looked at.
Park episode? No? All right. Well, that's me. Thanks, ladies and gents.
All right. We'll see you later, Molly.
Thanks.
All right. Get her out of here. No, just kidding.
Yeah. You should go rest or something.
Show off that shirt, Troy. What is that? Is that the All-American Reptile and Plant Expo?
Yep.
So we will be vending the Charlotte one, and that one is it public that date got changed?
Yeah, yep. September 21st, 22nd weekend now. Our date for October was double booked by the facility, and it was an honest mistake. We got to they went as far as showing us what happened, and so sometimes things are a blessing in disguise. And so, to be honest, we had a lot of people, some vendors that were like, "Man, we want to come, we can't." That are now coming. I only lost 2 that had already paid. So I figured if you lose a couple, it's not a bad deal, and that's right where we're at. And so, September 21st, 22nd weekend, Charlotte.
So that's a good haul for you coming all the way out to the East Coast. Are you going to be vending or just promoting the show?
I will just do shows. I will never vend my own show ever again.
Oh, okay. I imagine that was pretty stressful. What was it like?
Yeah, like doing it at Denver and like having Joe and them help out is great, but it's just an added element when you're already busy enough trying to run the show. And so I'd rather have another vendor in there to have an opportunity to make some money and meet people than me just setting up my own stuff. So never again will Nick or I set up at our own show.
That kind of sounded like a cool name, Nick or I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you and I have a baby, we can name it that.
Thank God. I'm glad we're planning.
Mm-hmm.
This is good.
You wouldn't. What if it's a girl?
I think we have to go with like Troy Jr. or something.
Oh, Troy Jr. would be just the best.
And then if it's a girl, like Troyana or something.
Or like Troyetta. Yeah.
Troyetta, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
We're planning really well.
Yeah. I might call her like Tietta for short or something.
Tietta, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Demonic is in the chat and says that the venue you got was really great and that they actually vended that same venue a couple weeks ago. I haven't actually looked at the address. Is it in Concord? Is it actually in Charlotte?
This one is in Charlotte. It's at the Parks Expo. It's called Liberty Hall.
Okay.
And it's a little over 100,000 square feet. We've set it up with 456 booths, I think, 10 by 10 booths.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
nice. Oh, by the Bojangles Coliseum. Okay, nice.
Roughly the same size as like Tinley's. So
yeah, and that's in Charlotte too.
Yes, I think it's like the south side of Charlotte.
Nice.
I just can't imagine a place called Bojangles Coliseum.
No, okay. Charlotte, like if you go to a Panthers game, which Panthers are the Carolina football team, for those who don't know, because it's not a very good team, so you might not have ever heard of them. So any Panthers game that you go to, they have like the what is it, the Bo Cam or the Bojangles camera, and they go through the tailgate like thing, and they go from like all the different tailgaters all around Charlotte, and they have them show off their Bojangles. It's a big deal in Charlotte.
Troy wishes I would show off my Bojangles. Sorry, that was right there.
Oh,
sorry, that one was right there. I apologize. Let me break that.
Oh, good. That was beautiful.
The party was not early. Our producer Steven made a mistake. Yeah, we actually had to let him go.
I think last week or something, I think I said afterwards, like, oh man, 8:00 is kind of early for us, like, to have the kids down, like have our daughter down, because she's been going to bed at like 8:30 and stuff. Like, it's kind of tight. But like you and I never talked about it. We've never changed. I've already like posted things that say 8:00. It's always been 8:00. And Steven's like, oh, I said 8:30 in the YouTube video. And I was like, well, like and he's like, I thought we talked about it. I said, said I mentioned it.
Guys, just in chat, RIP to Steven. We took him out back. He's in a better place now. But when you make mistakes here, you gotta go. So RIP Steven.
Yeah, so I imagine at 8:30 we're just gonna get a flood of people who just listen to
or nobody else.
It's not late to the mic, Troy. People actually want to be here.
That's good. See, I'm so used to I used to enjoy being on podcasts, and now that I'm on late to the mic and I hate it, I just feel like I've now tainted all podcasts, and I just feel like they're all horrible and I shouldn't be here.
Okay. No.
Basically Patrick ruined podcasting for me.
Well, I will say that you weren't a guest on podcasts very often before Late to the Mic. So like having you on would be like a scoop for someone, would be like a big deal. But now you have your own and it's not that exclusive. So
yeah, now it's like, oh, they just needed somebody, and let's see if Troy's available.
Patrick drugged me into podcasting. He like wrote me into it. I thought I was doing
my mom's here. Sorry.
Oh, wait. Is your mom in the comments?
Yeah, she's Trish right there.
Oh, hi, Trish.
Love Trish.
Trish, you've done a very great job raising a wonderful daughter.
Claps for Trish.
She's got a bad choice of men, but other than that, you do okay. Time out. Lisa's asking me something. Yes.
Is she wondering why I sound like I've been inhaling
Yeah.
menthols?
Like the ones that are in the back?
What was it that you said about Patrick that one time that he looks
care.
like he ate a pack of
for it.
cigarettes behind a dumpster?
You can keep a couple.
He looked like he was selling cigarettes to
Yeah.
kids, but
Oh,
also
yeah.
no, but he did look
Sorry,
like
sorry,
he
guys.
ate cigarettes. That one picture of him, like he looks like he just got out of prison and started eating cigarettes like immediately.
Not you, Troy. Don't worry.
Watching.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Lisa came in because we have people here picking up rats, and Lisa needed to ask me a quick question. So,
Picking up rats?
yep.
Do you breed yours? I thought you got them from.
We breed, and then we have our we feed our animals. Then we also supply John Dag, and then I have
I was mixing you guys up. I thought he. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, I just have a couple that comes up from like Missouri like once a month and picks up a lot of our larges and things like that. So retired breeders and all that fun stuff. And so they're here right now grabbing all that stuff.
How long have you been
breeding? And you guys
them?
are saving me from having to do any of it.
Sorry, Lisa. Our bad. Have you been doing the rats for a while?
Oh, geez. I mean, we've bred rats ourselves for, easily 10 years. It just got more and more and more. So probably 3 years. We're in 2024. So yeah, probably 2020 or 2021, we drove out and picked up a bunch of ARS and Freedom Breeder rats from Ozzy. And me and Joe from JSA, and then Lisa drove out there and spent some time with him, picked everything up, came back, and that's been the last big upgrade. So before that, it was mostly like wooden racks, cement tubs, and then like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, we went to Freedom Breeder and ARS stuff. So
we have had a terrible time breeding rodents. We have not gotten it right, like at all. Since we started, honestly, and we are just now, like, knock on wood, doing well with it. No problems, no like random mortalities, no more floods or waterline clogs. Steven's sweating because I'm gonna jinx us, but this rehire Steven fund just came through. Steven posted that comment up quick.
I love it.
I did it because Steven's fired, but so we had a lot of trouble with like our supplies, and so like hindsight is 2020. I think we were not paying the rodents as much attention as we could, and we were having a lot of problems with water lines, and that was our big thing. So the first big one is like we were putting the lid on the bucket of water and like sealing it so it wouldn't get dust in it. And then there's no, like, we didn't like punch a hole in it or anything like that. So the water, as it drained, no air was going in and the water couldn't go down the line. So even though there was plenty of water, the rodents couldn't get any, and we were having dehydration. We couldn't understand what was going on. And then we'd get clogged lines, and we didn't realize like how quickly you can get clogged lines, especially if you don't have a lid all the way on and you've got dust and all that. So clogged water lines, like leaks, it just all I think that was our biggest thing was water.
All the
honestly.
things. Yeah. I think if you breed rats long enough, you go through all of the things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
We recently got filters for the water lines, and we put one in, and like 1 day later it was clogged, because this is like the first time we put it in. 1 day later it was clogged. So we had bought a bunch of them. I don't remember where we bought them from, but like $50 worth of these filters so that we could just change them out. Every one of them leaked that we bought, and I was like, what the heck is this? So we got rid of the filters. I don't know if you use them.
We don't.
You sound
like
you
the
don't.
buckets that comes with the filters and stuff. Yeah, I just toss that filter in the garbage.
Really? That sucks. Okay. So there's not like a better way for that. I just have to keep blowing the line.
And in Iowa, I don't know about everywhere, but in Iowa and even Minnesota, like so I'm going to speak for like Joe. Because Joe, if you wanted to have a really good episode about raising rats, if you could talk Joe and his brother John from JSA to do an episode, it would be jam-packed with info. Those guys know what they're doing. And I'll also say this. there's 100 ways to get the same thing, right? At the end of the day, if you're producing rats your way, then you're producing rats. But they do a way that I feel is, top notch. And so, anyways, Lisa, really kind of adopted their way and has really taken care of the rat room. But yeah, I think you learn through all those things like floodings and clogged waters, and so now my dad knows, like Michael knows, because we're gone so much. Like I'll tell my dad, like, you got to check the water nozzles, and I don't know. It's rats are it's an important thing. But to be honest, if I could get away from them and take my collection down to a level where it would be more manageable rat wise too, I probably would be happier, because the rats are where the work is.
Yeah. I think, and that's what I think took us a longer time to realize, because the snakes like are a lot more fun and they don't require nearly as much maintenance. So it's kind of hard to put so much into the rats, so much more into the rats, that I think it just took us a while.
Yeah.
What about you, Molly?
And
How many rats do you have?
Oh, shit.
All the rats that I have, I'm cleaning all the, I clean tubs all the time. That's what I do.
You should. It's good. It's good fun times to clean rat racks.
I've done my fair share of cleaning, and also like we had floods and everything, and we went through that. Like, but I mean, I was a kid, so like it wasn't my real issue. Like it wasn't my responsibility.
You never had to deal with rat soup?
Oh, I did, but
as a kid, wow, that builds character.
Oh,
my kids would have nightmares. There's no way.
We worked like all of us like worked together except my mom. My mom was like not about any of it. Like she would go out to like the like snake room and everything, but she would not, like the rats, especially like that room, no shot, like nothing at all. But yeah, I mean, like as a kid, I was cleaning tubs and doing everything, and yeah, we've dealt with that. There are many of times clogged blinds. It's just a learning process for sure, but it's a hard lesson to learn. That sucks.
Yeah. I didn't mean to turn this into a rat episode. Sorry.
We're turning into a rat episode.
Yeah.
Did you start dropping viewers because we were talking about rats?
Actually, they went up a little bit. I think it's almost 8:30, and people thought that's what time this started.
Yeah. Nice.
Troy, how many clutches do you have?
How many clutches do I have? I think right now I'm on. I have to think for a second. 25, 26. I think I'm 26 or 27 right now. 28, something like that.
Like Patrick does, where he's like, "Yeah, we're like, I don't know, 30 to 60 maybe," and I'm like, "What?
I love it.
What kind of range is that?"
Yeah, normally I'm like been really on top of it. This year, some things have definitely got in the way, and so I don't feel like I'm as up on my number, but like I know that I'm somewhere like 26, 27, 28, something like that. So, and I just went through the other night and like looked through. I have like about 10 more girls I know that will lay, and then I need to ultrasound probably one more time. Nice. and mark anybody that I find. But yeah, I'm done pairing and stuff. Like anytime I've paired this late, it's never went well. I don't typically get anything, or if I do, it's like slug outs. And I think that's a lot to do with like the heat and stuff here in Iowa, even though I'm in a basement, like it fluctuates. And yeah. So anyways, I'm probably going to end up with, I would say somewhere around 40. Yeah. Last year was 62 or 63. And the year before was one was 62, one was 63. And before that, 40s and 50s were pretty regular for the couple years before that. I definitely tried to downsize some this year, just not breed as many. And so, yeah, somewhere under 40 or 40, right around there.
Nice. Courtney, where are you and Steven at? Just so Patrick knows, because I know he's going to ask.
I think like including what's in the incubator, we're at like 10. I think we might have like 20, 25 this year. We don't breed on a huge scale. We both work full time. We've got the kids. So we're trying like this year and going forward to really narrow down like our clutches to like make sure that the animals that we're getting and taking care of are like things that we're super excited about and not just kind of, like making just to make, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
We do like doing things because we like vending shows. We like going to a couple shows a year. So we do like the bell clutches that Patrick likes to ridicule us for. And what the thing that happened with the bell clutches is we have 3 bell clutches and they just so happened to go back to back to back. So all we have right now is bells. Like I thought they'd be spread out throughout the year, but we don't.
So that's like perfect fuel for Patrick. You did it.
And okay, so the thing about the bells is like when we have bananas or bells, we know that they're going to go to pet owners. So like the big things for those is we make sure like those specifically, like not we have few enough clutches and few enough animals that we can like do a lot of like handling and make sure we know which animals are good for pet owners or like first time buyers, stuff like that. One of these bell clutches, like they get red tab, red tab, red tab, red tab. The entire clutch is just mean and feisty and like I'm like I'm getting bit. They're great eaters. Actually, Patrick sold us a snake recently that is the meanest snake we have ever owned. The second you open up the door to the quarantine rack, it posts up like immediately.
He trained it.
If you got it from Patrick, it should stay in the quarantine rack. That would be the safest place for it.
I think that he trained that snake to be mean to us because he knew Steven was going to buy it.
Oh yeah, he did that on purpose. Troy, are you working with Tri-Stripe?
I do, and I saw the question there pop up. This year, again, since I've taken down some pairings, I only did a couple pairings for DG Tri-Stripes, and then as far as a project Tri-Stripe wise, I took my super Mandarin hypo to a Tri-Stripe. So, hopefully some Mandarin double hets, and I haven't got that clutch yet, but she looks like she'll go. So.
Nice. I'm gonna throw Patrick under the bus again a little bit because we were talking about the ranges. Do you all want to hear the story? So Eli, the middle patent, recently got hired to do stuff relate to the mic. So all 3 of us are now in the industry. Look at us go. And I asked Patrick, I was like, hey, have you emailed Eli? Because he was going to like email him all this stuff over. And Patrick was like, tell Eli that I'm going to email him between 5 p.m. and midnight and just look for it. And I'm like, what range are you doing right now? I don't know what his whole week has been, but he just keeps giving these like crazy ranges that make no sense. So yeah, if you like are needing a time frame from Patrick, please don't ask for one because
from 2 to 4 a.m.
Patrick just does that to make himself sound busy and important. And the truth is he's not important, and
he'll be on TikTok until 8, and then after that,
we gotta watch Ren Fair. We've got to watch. He was watching Glee. I don't know if he's still watching Glee, but
of course he's watching Glee.
That's a weird rewatch. I don't know.
But yeah, he was like between 5 p.m. and midnight. For the rest of November, watch out for Patrick. Yeah, Comcast hours, Jared. That's exactly right. He's giving Comcast hours. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was my off track.
So, Troy, I feel like you've been super busy lately. Like, I know you had stuff going on with like family, and then you also were you shooting a wedding last week? Was that what it was?
Yeah, I was in Vegas shooting a wedding last week, and things have been a bit busy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that, so Steven and I do like a podcast. We have like a little podcast that we do for our Patreon, and like the number 1 episode that we did, like that we got the most like follow-up questions, the most comments and all that stuff, was like an episode that we did on burnout, how we handle burnout, which, isn't always great. And like what leads to burnout. Do you feel like that is something like you handle well? Like, do you have any advice for people who start to feel burnout? I know you've got the show, you've got the reptiles, and you give off that you handle it very well. So I was just curious how you go about that.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm definitely half people fooled then. I I'm a very honest person, and so right now I'm definitely burnt out on our photography. Like we've had the studio for about 16 years, and this last couple of years, like just the amount of I don't know. I don't know how to word this. Like I want to say the amount of work, but then it sounds like I'm being lazy. But the amount of work it takes to make the same amount of money that I made the years prior is it's just different, and it's almost more. And it's a lot of that comes down to, just it's such an evolving industry all the time, and keeping up, and it's very parallel to ball pythons, at least. I can't speak for all reptiles, but for ball pythons, right? Like it's you can get behind so quickly. Uh and yeah, we had some things in our life the last couple of years that have kind of thrown some wrenches at some things, but I don't know if I handle burnout well. I would say this: I'm not afraid to fail, and failure is not something that bothers me. I'll pick up and try something new, and so I will give everything my all until the very end. And so I think I'm coming to somewhat of an end with our photography stuff, at least taking a very giant step back. We're going to close the retail studio side of things, and that's probably my advice: is you need to like be able to step away from the parts of it that are maybe the biggest contributors to your burnout. And so being at a studio and away from the house and away from the animals and away from Michael and having to travel back and forth, even though it's not a long distance, it's just a lot. And so giving that part back has already started to give me some relief, and I'll probably find my joy in it again. And I think ball python wise, it's the same thing. Like I think the hardest thing for us is you look at an animal like a proven breeder girl, and if you take the right male to her, you can make a $10,000 clutch or a $2,000 clutch or a $30,000 clutch. But if you sell her, she's $1,000 animal. And so it's hard to, like, I think as a breeder, to give up girls, right? But then you grow and you grow and you grow, and at some point it's a lot more work. And I think that's kind of where Lisa and I are. I think we held on to some animals too long, and our collection got bigger than we wanted it to. And so then you start to feel that kind of burnout because it's becoming more work than joy. And so I think my best advice is, you got to be able to cut some ties with things, and make healthy decisions for yourself. And so I think that would be my advice.
I think that's great. And it's also kind of like hard advice to take. And I think that's what makes it good advice, because a lot of times, like, you have an emotional attachment to something on one hand, or in addition to that, sometimes giving something up feels like quitting, and it's not right. Always quitting. It could just be like the difference between you taking something else and being successful with it and putting more energy into, and like doing one thing successfully rather than four things half-assed, I guess.
Well, I think that absolutely. Like not being afraid to fail, like you're going right into the very end, and like it's okay if like some things just don't work out. And I think that's a really hard thing that people have to accept, that some things just don't work out, and it's okay that it doesn't, and it's okay that it doesn't agree, and it does, like, that's, it's fine to get to that point. It's okay to fail. I think that's something that a lot of people probably need to hear, that it's a hard lesson.
And now that we're doing
I think early on, somebody taught me like the acronym for FAIL, like first attempt in learning, I think is what, if I remember it right. And I kind of took that to heart at the time. It's stuck with me. And so failing is just an opportunity in learning. Oh, what is he throwing at you?
Steven picks the worst time every episode to give me his questions that he wants to ask.
Fire him?
He's left the same comment up the entire time. Troy's giving this heartfelt advice that is so good, and Steven sends me 4 pages of notes because he hasn't been listening.
Steven.
He's like, you see, he immediately changed the comments. He's like, oh, I got to go through these now.
We need security in here. Get him out. Take him to the dumpster.
These are so Steven questions. He starts some of them off with because it's a Steven question. It's all about him. Anyway, we'll get to these in an hour. I hope everybody's ready for that. That'll keep you waiting. Back to you, Troy. Sorry. So now that you're doing the show, like, that is taking on like another huge thing. How much work is that? Because not only did you do the first one, you've already scheduled at least 2 more that I know of. So it sounds like it was successful. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think somewhat, and I'm gonna speak for Lisa and myself. Like, I think both of us, what do I want to say? Like, we thrive in chaos, and so if we have like a lot of spare time, we don't know what to do with it. And so I think adding more work kind of pushes me and Lisa along too. And so when Nick and I and Lauren and Lisa got together about doing All American, at first, to be honest, Nick, I think, was kind of envisioning us doing our first show this coming fall, and this would have been like February.
That was fast.
Yeah, and I was like, no, we're gonna do one in April or something. Like we could do this. Like, check if they have an April date, and
wow.
And it did. It worked out great. And to be honest, the 4 of us worked so well together, and we kind of have some roles that we know who's doing what, and that's important. And so we immediately talked, like, obviously we want to do another Denver show, but we were talking immediately, like, where else can we do a show? And there's so many places, and we have so many people give us like great recommendations, and it's hard to pick, you can't do them all. And so, we knew we wanted to try doing a very large show. And so this building kind of fell in our lap. It kind of presented itself to us in a smaller one of their buildings. And then we were like, well, wait a minute, tell us more about this building. And so we dove right into the big one, knowing that even if we don't fill it at this first show, we have room to grow, and we don't have to worry about that. And so I think that's really nice. And so, yeah, it is a bit chaotic, and sorry, it's probably cutting out there for a second.
No,
it is a bit chaotic, and but like I said, I think we kind of thrive in that and enjoy it.
That is such a relatable thing. My mom says it all the time. She's like, do you guys sleep? Like, you guys have to be doing something all the time. And yeah, we do the same thing where we're either going somewhere, like just a day trip to the beach, or we're, doing something with the snakes, or working, or it's always something. My last job, I traveled for work. So like 2 weeks out of the month in a couple cases, like I'd be out of town. Steven would be doing everything at home. I'd get back. We'd immediately go somewhere. So I definitely understand that. I feel like, yeah.
I say we're definitely going through that now. We had Michael's ordeal, which was a couple weeks long. That gets over, and we end up in Vegas for the week for a wedding, and then we've been home we got home Friday, and so whatever stays Wednesday. So tomorrow, Lisa and I drive to Charlotte. We're gonna do some work this weekend in Charlotte for the show. We're gonna go to the Reptile in Charlotte, meet with some people, say some hellos and whatnot. And then
this weekend?
Yeah, yep. It's in Conrad. Yeah.
Yeah, Concord. We have a table. We're not vending because it's our little boy's birthday, and we're going to be taking him to do birthday stuff. We have a table, so we're subletting the table, but you're still an hour away from us. I wish I'd known you were going to be up there. We'd take you out to dinner.
Well, maybe we can work something out.
They didn't tell you for a reason.
All right, Steven, get on it. Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah.
They didn't tell you for a reason.
Oh, this is awkward. Steven, take us off. So I just want to address something that's going on in the comments, Steven. I want you to take Brittany's comment down because it's not true. I got up this morning. We had today off for Juneteenth, but the daycare was still open. So we sent the kids to daycare and started doing yard work at like 7 a.m. and I was drenched in sweat. I trimmed the bushes. I did a great job. All Steven did was the parts I was too short for. and I picked up all the leaves.
Oh, so Steven didn't do anything.
And no, he mowed, and I very much appreciate that. He did a great job, and I'm really proud of him for mowing the front yard. Maybe he'll get to the backyard this week. Maybe he won't, but that's okay. I edged. I pulled up. My hands are covered in cuts from all the blackberry bushes. I don't believe you, Brittany. I literally, and it's so hot here. Thing is like this isn't an exorbitant amount of work. Like that was like a normal amount of work, right? Like that's not nobody's like, oh my gosh, you trimmed the bushes and edged the yard. No, it's that it was 90 degrees by 11 a.m. It was so hot. I was drenched in sweat.
That's what we live right on the river, so like it's really humid here. Like it's unbelievably humid. Like I feel like I'm living in Florida. In Indiana, but I take my dog on like a short walk every day, and I'm seriously like drenched by the time I like get back in, and I've done like nothing. I just our normal like little walk, and I'm like sweating like no one's business. It is so hot.
Yeah, it was crazy hot already today. So we got a lot done. We also got stuff done inside, and then the daycare actually did close early. So picked up the kids to spend some time with the kids, and then we were here. Who does only mow half the yard?
Lisa and I
we have an acre and a half and a push mower. Sorry, go ahead.
A push mower.
We have an acre and a half and a push mower, so give him a break.
I'm gonna get you guys a rider.
All right, sugar daddy, let's
Troy this weekend. Like
I didn't tell you how nice I'm a rider. I just said I'm gonna get you one.
Yeah. But sorry, go ahead. You're going to be getting back from Charlotte.
Oh,
and then
no, I was just saying, like,
on?
I get back, like, same thing. So we get back from Charlotte, and then I'm home for a day and a half, and we drive to California for the Reptile Super Show.
Oh right. Gosh. How many shows do you vend a year?
Ooh, so 2, 3. I have to think about this. 5. All right, well, Tinley twice, Reptile Super Show twice. I do St. Louis. I would typically do Dallas twice a year. And then I throw in like a Kansas City show a couple times and a couple Minneapolis shows. So I probably don't do a ton. It's probably 10-ish.
I don't know.
Shows.
That seems like a lot to me. I don't know.
I feel like that's a lot. I feel like some people are like 2 like max, and they're like, I'm done.
I think on top of that, like you vend really good shows because you've been doing it for a while. So like 10 shows and like good shows. That's cool. Are you doing the Southeastern one? Are you doing Bob's show in Atlanta?
So I talked to Bob the other day. I think actually what I'm gonna do is vend Bob's show as All-American, since our show's the week after. Maybe maybe
so
we can pick up a few people.
Nice. That'll be really interesting. So you would like have a booth for and not have any animals?
Correct.
That's interesting. I think that would be really cool. Because that's like Atlanta and Charlotte are equal distance for us. So we're super stoked to be able to do Atlanta and Charlotte. Steven is going to be going to the CRBE this weekend that Bob has his show. So he's not going to be able to vend Bob's show with me. We have our friends Kat and Ro from Inked Lady. Not that this is important. Bye.
Bye. Sorry, everyone.
He's like, sorry, I can't hear you. Anyway, so we're going to be, I'm going to be vending Bob's show with Kat and Ro, and then the very next weekend, we'll be doing Troy's show. And so...
I'm trying to shoo my dogs away. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I get that this isn't the most important thing you're doing today.
Why don't you talk about your little brand deal you were talking about on Lead to the Mic with Redline? Do you want to talk about that while Troy's gone? This feels like a good time to do that.
Steven's going up to CRBE this year, and he's actually going to be driving. He is making that drive with his boyfriend Shane Kelly, and they are flaunting it in my face that I don't get to come and that they're spending all this time together without me, and it's fine. I'm not jealous. But so they're going
like
up
Patrick.
to. He's like, I'm like, oh, don't talk to any cute girls while you're there, and he's like, I don't need to, I'll have Shane, and I'm like, ugh. So they're driving up together, and again, I'm not jealous. It's totally fine, but
So,
Redline is sponsoring the trip, so anybody who's traveling to a show that weekend, anybody who's going to Southeastern Reptile Expo, anybody who's going to AARPE the following weekend, anybody who's driving 12 hours up to Canada, like they want y'all to do like hashtag Redline Road Trip. Steven got decals for our cars made. It's gonna be a blast. So that's gonna be like a fun thing for people to do this fall. Yeah.
nice.
But yeah, so we're really excited to do the Charlotte show. Steven is a little bummed, Troy, because you had one faux pas in rescheduling your show. I don't know if you know this, but Steven's favorite band is playing in Atlanta the same weekend as your show got moved to.
Wait, who is it?
Mariana's Trench. And they're not a very big band, and they're Canadian, so when they do like a tour, they're like they're in a place one night. So it's not like they do Saturday and Sunday. So they're going to be in Charlotte on a Wednesday, and then that Saturday they're going to be in Atlanta. So Steven and I can't go up Wednesday because of my job, and we also don't have childcare for it. So Steven is going to have to go up to Charlotte on a Wednesday by himself to watch his favorite band, because you didn't consider that when you moved.
You didn't.
your show dates.
How dare you, Troy?
I'm sorry. I promise to check in with Steven next time.
The other thing that you did wrong is you emailed us to let us know that that the dates were moved, and Steven thought that it was Charlotte Repticon emailing us, because you told us like, hey, we're gonna have to move that date, and then you emailed everyone. And unbeknownst to you, Steven would get that email and go, oh no, Repticon Charlotte was also double booked, and they also moved their show to the same weekend as Troy's show. There's going to be 2 shows in Charlotte the same day. And I was like, it's crazy that both of them double booked venues in the city of Charlotte, and both of them had to move their show to the same weekend. Like, that's really weird. And he goes, oh no, that was Troy's show, never mind. But he was sweating for like 45 seconds.
Steven.
So in the future, can you just consider my husband? He doesn't need that kind of stress, man.
Just tell him like he's 5.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on, and
Go move.
Oh,
He's a busy
does Whitney
guy.
also like Mariana's Trench, Jason? Because that's cool. Because it's not a very big band, so it's really fun. I'm kidding.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was about to go down a rabbit hole. Like, go ahead, please, Molly.
Well, it's not an important question at all. I just am curious about Troy's brown sugar count lately. I feel like it's been low, and I just wanted to double check if you're okay on brown sugar.
I have not had any brown sugar for quite some time, until my wife made brown sugar bacon chicken the other night.
Oh,
that sounds good.
Lisa.
Was it
Fed
like a
the monster.
relapse?
Kind of.
Did you-
Like, I even told her, I was like, ooh, I don't feel good. And she's like, is it the brown
Really?
sugar? And I'm like, well, I haven't had brown sugar for so long that, I don't know. My body didn't know what to do with it.
Oh my gosh. Are you starting to get like allergic? He has adverse like reactions to brown sugar now?
We'll find out, because maybe I'll just suck down some tonight and see how it goes.
My
A
mom says she's going to watch
spoonful
the
sounds pretty good.
kids.
A spoonful sounds pretty good. I have some my Ninja Creamy. I've got some ice cream in the freezer waiting to be blended. I'm excited about that. I made espresso chocolate ice cream. I can't wait. I'm just thinking about that as soon as I'm done with the show. I'm going to eat it and then go to bed.
That's all she's been thinking about this whole time. She's
And
like, let me
really,
get off
honestly,
of here.
yeah. Well, I've mostly been thinking about sleeping, but yeah.
You've been on for quite a while. I know you said you might do it for a little while. Are you
I know, but I'm here, you know, I might as well be a trooper. We're at 50 minutes.
Yeah, I was about to say this. I was like, "Hey, Molly, I know you don't feel good, but please don't leave me.
Don't leave me with Troy. He's gonna corner me."
Well, don't read my text out loud.
Here, let me say, please don't leave me with Troy. I'm scared.
If you Venmo Molly $1, she'll read off the text chain.
That's true.
Troy, actually, we do have a question for you in the comments. Can you review the brown sugar drink that Jen brought you to March Tinley?
Ooh, both me and Michael tried it. God, it's been so wild. It's been long. I'm not like a big tea guy, and I remember it had like a tea flavor to it.
Was
Michael,
it like a soda?
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought I kept the can, but I would have to have Lisa tell me where that's at.
Do you drink coffee?
Yeah, I remember it had a flavor to it that I didn't like.
So I don't
Michael
like
did. I
brown
remember Michael
sugars. Brown sugar is just molasses, to like, and I don't like molasses. Steven really, there's like a rum from like Del Mar or it doesn't matter where it's from. There's a rum, and it's like a molasses-based rum that Steven loves, and he gets so excited every time. The Kraken, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
Steven's like answering me. What, baby? Not the Kraken. My bad. Seacrest, because it comes from secrets in Ocean City. But he loves it, and it tastes like molasses. It tastes like brown sugar, and it's so gross.
Do you like coffee, Troy? Do you drink coffee?
Yum.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
Have you had Starbucks brown sugar espresso?
No, he's off the stuff, Molly. Jeez.
Well, I was just curious. I didn't know if he's at it.
Would you mind answering some of Steven's questions? I know it's not off track with Troy, but it is a crumpled up piece of paper that my husband threw at me, so it's honestly special.
I'm sure it'll be good.
I like number 5 because it's kind of about me. So we'll start from the bottom and go up.
Because it's about me.
What moments or experiences have made you proud of being friends with Molly and Courtney? I'll give you a moment to think about it.
That's sweet. That's a good question, Steven. You're rehired.
Doesn't take much
Wait,
from Molly.
can you read
We only
it one
got
more time?
$2 on the rehire.
I think my internet cut out.
Rude. Okay. What moments or experiences have made you proud of being friends with Molly and Courtney? And folks, please feel free to also add your answers in the chat. I really like everyone to.
Courtney needs to pick me up. Tell her she's special, guys.
Let's make it about me.
I feel like it's easy for me because I think you're both very genuine people.
Oh, thank you. Stop it. All right.
Oh,
if that's the best you got, we can move on.
I swear my internet is cutting out like crazy tonight.
It's cutting out a little.
Troy's supposed to say something nice about us, and all of a sudden his internet.
Now the internet's cutting out. We've got to be nice, and now the internet's cutting out.
Oh my Lord.
Charlie's in the chat, and he says
it's cutting out a little bit.
I think you're faking it, to be honest. So we can move on so that you can stop pretending.
Stop pretending that it's cutting out.
Either you're moving in slow motion.
I'm trying to going.
Yeah, who is Courtney? Kick out Jared. I'm kidding, Jared. If you don't know who Courtney is, it's me.
If you don't know who Courtney is, it's me.
And my ego took a little kick there. Troy is having his own monologue at this moment.
Are you there? It's okay. You don't have to say anything nice about us. It's really okay.
Yeah, let's kick.
Oh no.
Alrighty.
I'll answer that question. I'll say something nice.
Thank you.
I have learned so much from you guys, like social media wise, and how to do certain things, and like your guys' process. And it's taught me a whole bunch. And you guys are wonderful people, and I have grown a lot just knowing you. So
Now I'm uncomfortable because you said nice things about me, and I have
oh,
to
sorry.
say,
Courtney hates poor people. She sucks. She tries to dox me all the time, and yeah.
no, thank you, Molly. And you know what's really great about you? You have a great sense of humor, for one. That's like just a good starter. Thanks, Charlie, for being
Oh,
late and for giving us money.
Charlie.
You know
That's a
how
good
money buys my love.
Money does buy Courtney's love. Venmo her $1 and she'll like literally tell you anything you want to know.
So I have I have a new job, and my coworkers are really like I work with some really great people, but I am still scared of like making jokes around them.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Molly, with you, it was like the minute I met you, I was like, oh, I can say literally anything to Molly, and she will not
Anything.
get. She is so quick with the joke, that like that's it's such a great thing, and I appreciate that a lot. And we can talk about Troy a little while he waits to get back in. I really did mean it when I talked earlier about how it seems like he handles burnout really well, because he's always like super honest with it. Hey Troy, we're talking about you and saying nice things.
We're talking about you.
All right.
Say the nice things about you.
I'll take that. Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Crazy. Stupid
Okay.
computer.
Anyways, Courtney, what were you
Well, I was just saying that I meant it when I said that you seem to handle burnout really well, because you're always very honest and upfront with everyone about like what's going on, what you've got going on. Like when you're not feeling it, you don't pretend to, you're like, this is what I'm worried about. This is what I'm not happy about. And you just like put it out on the table, and it's really honest and it's really great. And I really appreciate that about you.
Well, like I was saying, you both are very genuine, and I not only just genuine, but you both have this like amount of care about you, where you sent me bread when my son was coming out of death, and Molly, of course, texted us, and when people take time out of their lives to check on other people, like that means a lot to me. And so I'm not always great with words, and so I don't know how to put it all into words, but I truly believe that the two of you are a big part of my heart, and I enjoy our friendship very much.
Thank you. I didn't mean to make this
stepmom to Michael, so I'd hope so. I'm hoping
I hope so.
You'll make a great stepmom, Molly.
Thank you so much. I got already dressed like one, so we're at a good Try not to cry challenge. That's what we need to rename this episode. Try not to cry. Trigger one.
My bad.
Emotional.
I didn't mean to make it sappy. I just thought it was funny to say nice things about me, and then it made me uncomfortable immediately. Number 2, how much money is in your bank account?
So right this minute.
Yeah, I want you to pull up your app. Offshore accounts too, but we're putting everything on the table. I just talked about how honest you are.
Also, what's the street that you grew up on?
Can I answer the question with how much money I have and how much debt I have?
No, you'll make everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah, you can only say that you're rich.
Yeah.
All right. I think I have like 32,000 in one account, and the rest of them are very low, like a couple $100.
Jesus, how many accounts do you have? Because if you have enough accounts, a couple $100 in each. I mean,
I have 4 or 5.
You're bumping up on the friendship level, Troy. I'm just gonna say that.
Troy has.
You're the first person to answer that question. You did not have to answer it.
I have nothing to hide.
Troy, that's so true. I feel like Troy is the most open person in the whole world. Just
to let everybody know, just one part of my debt is I owe the government $100,000, and I'm like 4 payments behind.
Oof. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Again, you didn't actually have to answer the question. Nobody else has done that.
Move on next.
Do not take government loans during COVID sick times and think it's a great idea. It was not a great idea.
Bad idea.
Hopefully we don't get another COVID. Steven actually did a video this week, like his, oh yeah, actually, before we move on, how much is in your OnlyFans account, and how often do you get your deposits out?
I want to start an OnlyFans account, and like I want it to be like funny, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but I haven't came up with the recipe yet.
So that's just a Patreon.
Exfoliate with like some brown sugar, like exfoliate the skin a little bit, like pour some brown sugar on me.
Troy, I think you could do it. I think you could be creepily successful with it. Like, I would actually worry that you'd get a little too successful with it, because you'll be like, oh, this is going to be funny, but you've actually found a niche. So just careful with it. But when I asked Troy for a clip for the reel yesterday, he goes, do I have to put a shirt on because I'm not wearing one, and can I just send it to you with no shirt? And I was like, we're posting this on Instagram, not OnlyFans, so you decide. It's up to you. You've got creative
I had to go get a shirt, damn it.
And it looked great on you, really.
Well, thank you.
It looked great on you.
I feel like I got confused when we got brought up the OnlyFans stuff. But OnlyFans, the thing that's funny about it is it's essentially Patreon, right?
Right.
It's just sexy Patreon.
Yeah.
Patreon after dark.
Patreon after dark.
At night.
At night. So again, my crumpled up piece of paper. Here's like a deep question for you.
Okay, I like deep ones.
When it comes to new breeders, what do you think they should... no, Steven. This is the same question that... Anyway. This is the same question that you ask everyone. This isn't a deep one. When it comes to breeding, what gets you motivated and why?
Money.
When it comes to breeding, what gets me motivated and why? Man, I really don't know how to answer that question at the moment, because I don't feel like I'm in the same headspace I was previous years. And so
Totally fine. Totally fine. It's just a Steven question, so it's not at all important.
I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I feel like I'm having a hard time being motivated. So I think it falls back to like, how busy is your life? Like, what can you cut out, and how do you find the joy? And so that's where I'm at. So like, I'm motivated right now to find my joy. And so that's me having to go through some tough processes and some tough cuts to get back to that.
Yeah.
So a serious question, and this one is a little deeper and a little more personal, and I'm going to reword it a little bit because, again, Steven phrased it like about himself somehow. Nah. So before we got into ball pythons, Steven was like doing stock options and stuff, and I don't think he realized it, and I don't think he realized that it flowed into the stakes. He was addicted to like stock options and essentially gambling. And then when it came to the ball pythons, like he was addicted to purchasing animals and buying things on Morph Market. And you've talked about like gambling addiction before. How does his question specifically is, how does reptile breeding fit into this? What advice do you have for a new breeder who's experienced a similar situation?
For me, going from my gambling addiction into the animals, the animals fill a void for me due to my addiction, because there's still odds involved, right? Like I'm playing the odds game. And so, in some ways, I spend too much money on ball pythons just as much as I did in gambling. And gambling, my biggest problem was the anger that associated with it. But that comes in the ball python world too, right? Like you miss on something or it doesn't go, or you invested a ton of money and then next thing you know, that project flops. And so, they go kind of hand in hand. And there's a ton of truth to being addicted to buying, whether that be anything. But I definitely have an addiction of buying animals. So I know I can relate to that. I will buy every French bulldog on the planet if my wife would let me. And I would have every reptile manageable, if my wife would let me. But, you've got to find a way to put a grip on that. And so, I don't know if I have great advice. I think if you recognize a problem, like, holy shit, I have too many animals. then you've recognized a problem. And for people like Alcohol Anonymous and Gamblers Anonymous, we have somewhere to go and get support. I think people like us that have, maybe an addiction to buying animals, we have each other. And I think you have to have that friend in your life that will tell you how it is. And I think you have to listen to them and maybe give them a little bit of, hey man, this is where I'm at, right? Like, so you don't get carried away. Because what happens is you get burnt out, right? You get carried away. You buy too many animals. It takes away the joy, and then you're just left with misery. So put yourself in check.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like ball pythons, I think I've said this before. That it's completely you're gambling. I mean, it's an odds game, 100%. So yeah. I see how it feels.
I talk about it at my Gamblers Anonymous meetings sometimes. Like nobody there really gets it, but just how much the ball python market goes hand in hand. With me playing poker or something. I'm playing odds, and so luckily it doesn't. For me personally, luckily it doesn't trigger that part of my addiction. It's a different type of addiction, and I would love to tell you that it's healthier, but in some ways it's not always. I certainly have a lot of anger and depression and stuff that comes out of the ball python world. Like there's so much, for example, like this week, I pulled a clutch out. It was on day 62, and I'm like, why is this not pipped or nothing? And I cut them open, and the first 3 I cut open are perfectly formed, very beautiful lace clowns that were all dead in the egg. And you don't know why, you don't know what happened, and you get angry about it. And it's lost money, it's lost animals, it's animals that have died that you want to take care of. And so you have to find, I'll say this, you have to be willing to take a lot of losses within this hobby, or industry, in order to find the wins. You get kicked in the nuts a lot.
I think it's interesting that you say you feel angry about it, because mine is more of a it's same experience. We've only had 2 animals that we purchased pass away, whether it be within quarantine or maybe laying, just something caused them to pass away. Mm-hmm. And we've had a couple clutches of failure to thrive, or not failure to thrive, but they're not going to survive outside of the egg kind of deal. And the feeling for me is a devastation of, it's not so much anger as it is oh my God, this is the worst thing. I feel guilty. I feel terrible. I feel this is something we spent money on. Do I give up? It's a genuine, and Steven usually gets me feeling better, but it is devastation that I feel when we have something bad happen. I don't know. I don't know how Steven experiences it. I don't know how everyone else experiences it. I know everyone has a strong emotion when it comes to that, but I definitely know what you're talking about, and I'm sorry to hear that about the clutch that you. It just sucks, right? And there's nothing you can do, and I further investigated. One, of course, had a umbilical cord that was pretty well tied in a knot, and so I'm okay, that makes sense. But the next 2, it's they didn't absorb anything, and did they drown or something in the egg? And you just question. Then I question myself, right? I kind of beat myself up a lot, and so I'm what did I do wrong? And it's a whole process. And I'll tell you this. I called Joe a lot from JSA, and I pack a lot of feelings on top of his shoulders, and he kind of talks me off the ledge. So find that person in your life, because they'll help save you in a lot of moments. I think that's a great point. And I do want to keep talking about that, if you don't mind staying on, Troy. I don't know if
nothing going on.
Stop, but I know we're a little past an hour, and Molly was originally only going to be here for about half an hour. Molly, do you want to say goodnight, or are you? How you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm a little tired, but
okay. Well, if whenever you're feeling it, you just let us know. And
Yeah.
okay, sorry. But so Troy, with saying like you beat yourself up, like what did I do wrong, right? So our first clutch that we had with like deformities, it was maybe like a 9-egg clutch, and 6 of them had problems. And it was literally like, this is our first season, right? So it was like a clown to a Pastave het clown girl. And we got both animals from the same breeder, but we had no reason to believe that they were like, I don't know, brother and sister. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, were they like, it was this inbreeding? Should we have not paired them together? Should we have asked if they were related? Could they have been like years of inbreeding that resulted in like a clutch that should have been paired together? Like, was that our bad? Did we move the egg box halfway through incubation and have a temperature fluctuation? Did we have too many eggs in the box where they get a little hotter at the end? They get exothermic instead of endothermic. Did they get too hot and cause these like deformities? Like, what did I do wrong? And I don't have an answer,
Sorry, I want to pop out, but I wanted to say bye.
Oh, okay.
Yes, get some rest, Molly. I hope you feel better.
You feel better.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you, Molly.
But 100%, like everything was my fault. Everything was my fault,
Yeah.
But, and again, it gives you things to, once you are thinking about that, it does make you more conscious of it in the future. Again, I don't know what happened, but you better believe I know exactly where every egg box is in the incubator, and they don't budge until they're at like 55 days.
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like we overthink a lot of it, right? Like in the wild, these things are dumped in a hole, and they hatch, right? Like no incubators, no checking on them, no water or vermiculite or whatever, man. It's a pretty dumbed down process. And then, we bring them into captivity, and you try to do things that are similar, but it's almost like we overthink it, right? And then it's very easy when these things happen to blame yourself because you think you did something wrong. And so, yeah, I go through all those steps. Did I move the box? Did I do this? Was there not enough of that or whatever? And so certainly, or if I would have cut them earlier, would they have made it? I don't know. So it's like, it's just a lot of things that work through your mind. And at the end of the day, it's not going to fix anything. So I spend too much time, maybe beating myself up over stuff like that.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, in some ways it makes you better because it makes you more conscious of it in the future, but it also can lead to like paranoia and anxiety. We have a question in the chat, if Stephen, if you don't mind bringing it back up. Sorry, it took a second, but Jake was asking, as somebody newer to the hobby who wants to breed, what genes do you recommend for good pet level snakes and to build off of in the future? And I feel like, do you have advice on that?
Yeah, I think so. I would ask on top of that question to Jake, like, what's your goal as far as what you're doing with those babies? Like, are you trying to sell them to pet stores or just be, quote unquote, low end at a show or something like that, easily movable wholesale type of stuff? If that's the goal, that's fine. And then I think, there's things that people tend to gravitate towards that are in that, couple $100 level. It's typically like the bells and the bananas, and people like an all white snake, people like an all black snake, so like super cinnamons or something, stuff like that. The bananas are always very pretty, black pastel bananas, things like that people just find the color of it very pretty. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's what you're probably looking for, man, is what's sellable. And I think that comes with a little bit of research and maybe paying attention at a show. Like, ask the vendors, like, hey, what's your pet quality stuff sell for, and can you show it to me or something, and find out what's selling. And I think that would lead you to what you want to breed. I did see somebody else answer too, like, going a step above, and I think that's actually great advice.
I think that's fantastic advice.
Yeah, I would do a step above as well, because your byproduct, you're going to end up with some of that pet quality stuff, but then you would also have maybe some middle ground, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So if you pick a recessive, and codons that kind of all go together, whether that's pieds or clowns or, you want to get into a different project altogether. But I think you could find yourself a lot happier following that advice, like going a step above and letting the byproduct of that animal be your pet quality side of stuff. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think for us, like we do a couple bell pairings, but other than that, all of our stuff that goes as pet quality stuff, it's just byproduct. So you have misses, and as long as you've got pet people wanting to buy them, like people see beauty in literally everything. You're gonna
Yeah.
find somebody who likes that animal. And so I think Patrick actually said this during maybe one of their Tree of Trust episodes. You don't always like if you have like a het that you sell as a pet, you're probably not gonna pay a het price. Like if it's like a pastel het something, you might you don't even bother telling someone. Sometimes it's just like, I have a pastel het clown, it's going to a pet owner, I'm not even gonna like mention that it has clown in it. And that's like how I feel like that's how a lot of stuff pops up later on.
Yeah.
But not everything has to be sold for exactly what it is, because sometimes exactly what it is isn't desirable.
Yeah.
As desirable.
Yeah, we certainly see that. I think some shows it's more prevalent than others or something. Like Pomona seems to have a larger kind of mid-level pet side to things. So like a lot of times, yeah, they'll come up to the table and I'll be like, it says, super OD, inchy pied, blah, 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 het clown. And they're like, I don't care about any of that. Is it nice? They're just wanting a pet, and so I've sold $100 pets. I've sold $2,000 pets. And so it comes down, right? A lot of times it's just what people like and what they see. And I think if you think you can put your thumb on this market, that's where you'll probably get wrong. I think there's research to be had. It'll get you pretty close, but this market changes a lot. And I think you have to be honest with yourself about how much our market does change. And so you're not going to pick all the winners all the time. But I think if you breed what you like, you're going to sell it because you enjoy it. People see that about you. Your enthusiasm, sells it. And so, I think breed things that brings you some joy that you think are pretty, and that alone might kind of solve what you're looking for.
Yeah. And I think breed something. I think the step above comment was a really great comment, because you will have byproduct. And when it comes to pet owners, like everyone's kind of said, they don't know what a het is,
Right.
So like, I thought Hidden Gene Woma was het Woma when I bought my first snake. I was like, oh, you can't actually see the Hidden Gene Woma. He's just a banana calico. And I bought the snake from I didn't know anything about morphs. I was buying a pet. And I'm in like a Facebook group for new ball python keepers. I think it's really, it's a really interesting like Facebook group to be in, because like you kind of see what people are thinking when they're buying animals and like what they want out of things. But all the time I'll see people like post a picture of their snake and they'll be like, oh my gosh, that looks just like my het clown. And you're like, yep, because like, oh, you must also have a het clown because that looks just like my het clown. And they're both normals. And they do look the exact same because they're both normals, but that person doesn't understand what a het clown is.
Yeah.
Because they're not breeding.
Yeah, this weekend I was up at the Minnesota show just visiting, and I heard a lady come up to a table and she's like asking about albinos, but they're pieds, right? But she thinks they're albinos, and I keep telling her I was kind of helping at the booth, and I'm like, well, these are piebald, like, and I'm explaining it to her, and she's like, yeah, but they're albinos. And at some point you're just like, well, I'm not changing this lady's mind, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I don't say yes. I'm just like, no, but sure, like whatever, because they don't care. Like in their head, they think they know what it is. They just know it's a pretty snake, and that's what they want. And they're never going to breed them, right? And so it's the pet market side of things is interesting.
What's kind of funny, my parents, they're like super supportive and stuff, but my mom doesn't really like snakes, and she really doesn't like rats. So she comes and she doesn't touch anything. She just like looks at it, and everything she sees, she's like, "That's a snake. That looks like a snake. Still a snake." You know, like and then we'll be showing them all off, and I'm like, Steven's like, "This is a world's first," like he's so excited about a new sunset, and she's like, "It looks like a snake." But my dad, we were showing off all of our stuff, and then we like pulled out our big bell that we have, like our big like he's our biggest male that we have. He's like almost 3,000 grams. He's huge. And my dad's like, that right there, that is cool looking. You guys like all these colors. Everyone else likes all these colors, but I like that. I think that's, and I'm like, Dad, so does everybody else. Like, this is my showstopper.
John Degg talks a lot about the grandma test, right? Like if you take two animals and you show it to grandma, can she tell a difference, or do they look the same to her, right? And so it's like the grandma test. So we talk about that a lot too. Like, you know, you could take two very similar, you know, snakes, one's 10 grand and one's $100. If grandma can't tell why this one's $10,000, it's probably not going to sell for it, right? And so, we talk about the grandma test quite a bit.
My mom goes by Granny, if you want to update that for her.
Oh, all right. Yeah. The granny test.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but for her, it's like, will I tell my husband to kill it, or will I tell Courtney to come get it? That's her test.
Yeah.
So Jen had mentioned that she's got a double het ultramel hypo, and she's not going to be pricing them as the pos hets. I feel like, do you sell things as pos hets anymore, or do you genetic test? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I'm like my first 3 or 4 clutches that I've hatched so far this year, it's like all of them need to be tested. So it's like, do I test them all? Do I sell some of those pos sets, or do I just sell them for what they are? Do I just wholesale them? And I think that's tough. You know, like I have some stuff down there that's like it would be, you know, pos set pied, pos set monarch, pos set clown. You know, so if you hit all 3 of them, I mean, that's still a great animal. But do I test it to find out? You know, like some of them are pinstripe, and they're still beautiful animals. They're pinstripe combos, but there's a lot of people that hate pinstripe. So it's like, do I test this, you know, inchy OD pinstripe yellow belly, you know, male that's pos set for these 3 genes, or am I wasting my money, and do I just sell it as a pet, you know, or something? So, I don't know how to answer that. I think right now I'm kind of trying to decide a little bit of that myself right now. So, I don't know.
You don't know. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. For a second, I forgot the actual question. I was like, "What don't you know?"
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
I was just going to say that. Like Patrick said, like you test the females, right? So I think, you know, maybe I should have said that, right? Like I would certainly test females. That way, whether I'm keeping them or somebody's looking to add that female for, you know, down the road, because then the male will be available at any point that female is ready, right? So I think that question comes down to difference between male and female. Females, I would test whatever for. The males, I'll kind of go, you know, back and forth. So
we don't. I mean, we don't have a lot of pos hets yet. All of our stuff is usually coming from like a visual. So because we're not working a lot of like multi-recessives yet. Like we have the animals, and we're just now starting to pair them. So we haven't produced a lot of pos hets yet, but we have had people like test their animals before, and like we're like, we'll pay for the test. Can you test it before we buy it? And so we've done that. But I don't know what we'll do when it comes to selling animals. But I think we have we work with RGI a lot. Charlie would test everything.
I saw that. That's great.
Yeah,
That's
I know. It cost him
advertising.
a lot. It cost him quite a bit to send in all those shed tests. No, that's smart, Charlie. I think it's great advice, because I think somebody else mentioned pos het doesn't really add value anymore, and it's because of genetic testing, which is like, I don't think people who are new to the industry realize how new that is. Because yeah, it just
I
wasn't
kind
a
of believe
thing.
that, right. I don't necessarily believe that possets bring value maybe the way they used to. And there are times where if I do put something on the table and I don't list the possets and somebody buys that particular animal or they're interested in it, a lot of times I'll ask, like, are you breeding? Are you planning on breeding? And if they're like, oh, maybe someday, I'll tell them it's posset, blah, 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 by the way. So I would rather them know.
Yeah, and I think Jen mentioned that as well. Like, you let them know, but you're not
Yeah,
selling it for that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, so like we have like our bell clutch, our bell boy, our butter Mojave is also het hypo. We don't. I mean, so all of his babies are pos het hypo, and that's like we write it on their hatch card, but nobody who's buying a bell is like, I sure hope it's het hypo. Like, well, maybe some people are. I don't know, but I think most people buying those animals aren't. They're breeding for more bells if they're breeding it, or they have a pet. Anyone? Sorry, there's a question. Anyone else coming across people inquiring that you have to teach about testing? That has happened for us. We've had people reach out to us and be like, like it might be Patrick's favorite combo, a freeway, right? And they'll be like, how do you know? Like, did you test what did you test her for? And I'm like, it's a freeway, you know? And they're like, well, how do you know that there's not something else in it? Did you test her for everything? And I'm like, she's a freeway. Her parents were an asphalt and a yellow belly, and they made a freeway. Like, it's a freeway. You know, like, genetic testing, it's not going... Like, I know what the parents are. I don't need to test her. There's nothing in the parents that could have come through that isn't visual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we've also had people who are like, well, how do you know she's het albino? I'm like, because her mom was an albino. And they're like, well, did you get her tested? I'm like, I produced her. Mom was an albino. It's not even dad was an albino. Like, mom was. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the testing thing brings up a lot of different things for people. And there'll be people that, think that the animals have to be tested when you know what they came from, right? Like, so, that could be, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, I guess. So.
Yeah. We really like testing. RGI sponsors our YouTube channel, and they have been, it's been really fun to test animals. It's been good when we get negative results. That it's been good in the sense that, like, we're not hanging on to animals that we don't need. It's obviously it's a bummer, but like it's good that we can get negative results, and then positive results can be super exciting. It's just really cool.
Well, if RGI is sponsoring your channel, maybe Charlie needs to sponsor Late to the Mic.
Maybe, or I think Charlie sponsors, does he sponsor Chimera's channel? I thought he sponsored Late to the Mic, actually, but I could be wrong.
I don't think Late to the Mic has new sponsors. We're kind of dumb.
Charlie, do you sponsor them? I could have sworn he sponsored one of you guys.
That's great.
You should know if he sponsors Late to the Mic. Patrick won't let me.
Patrick won't let me.
Oof.
Well, Patrick
Awkward.
is only a third owner, so...
Yeah, talk to Troy. You've got the in. You could also talk to Chase if there's a 2/3 vote.
Yeah, well, we all know where Chase is going. Him and Patrick crawl so far up Homeboy's booty hole.
Does Homeboy do shed tests?
Yes.
He tests. Oh! I forgot it was part of the. Okay, my bad. I was like,
I got you.
Since when does he test? All right. My wife and I have 2 females currently, a hypo and a hurricane. Oh, I thought it was a question. Sorry, Steven's the one who pulls up the comments, and sometimes I can't tell if it's like, hey, I'm pulling up this comment because it's an important question, or if it's just highlighting that it was a cool
How often do you beat Steven?
I don't. I love my husband very much. And sometimes I tease him a little bit, but it's because I can hear him. He's right over there, and I'm waiting to hear him snicker. And I get like so much satisfaction out of just making him laugh.
All right.
So
right. You guys are cute. I like you guys.
Sometimes I say something mean, and he doesn't laugh, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Lisa and I have hated each other for years.
Years, really?
Yeah.
Can't even tell. You just talk about her so highly all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Poor Lisa.
Poor Lisa. She did great at the like Denver show. Like I don't know. I know she does a lot of the rats, right?
Yeah. She
And
pretty much
she's
does
always behind the
all of it.
table.
Yep. Yep. She lets me
I feel
wander
like
off.
yeah, she does a lot. Does she is she does she consider herself like a partner in it, or is it like I'm here to support Troy? How is it for her?
I think if you asked her, I don't know how she would answer. I would hope that she understands she's a vital part of it. But she's just so not sure what word to use. Like she would never give herself that kind of credit, I don't think.
Oh, I need credit or I get mad.
All right. All right.
And Steven knows that. If you ever hear Steven talk about like us, he always says like we, Courtney and I, Courtney. Like he always has to bring me up because he knows my ego can't take being left
That's
out.
awesome. He doesn't want you to beat him. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty violent. You got a giggle out of him, just so you know, just in case
Nice.
you also wanted the
One of
validation
my
from my husband.
favorite podcasts ever was at Colorado with your husband at my Airbnb. I had more enjoyment out of that hour than I have in a lot of things. So
It made Steven so happy. You don't even understand how happy that experience made my husband. Can you tell everyone what exactly was so exciting about that that podcast?
which part? The part about me forgetting to hit record?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
So yeah, it was great because Steven he was like talking about, he's like, well, I don't really have the right camera right now, or I just have this mic and, blah, blah, but I'll record. And I'm like, yeah, I'll record off of mine and, blah, blah. We're all setting stuff up. And like 30, 40 minutes in or something, I don't even know what it was. Me and Andrew were across from each other. And I remember he said something. And I remember I just kind of like looked down and away and I noticed that my like red light on my Mix Pro 6 thing was not lit up. And I was like, oh shit, I never hit record.
So Steven gets back to the hotel because he went and hung out with you guys, and I stayed at the hotel with the baby, and she's asleep. It'd been a pretty big day for her because we flew out. It's her first time on a plane. We'd gotten up early in the morning, driven to Atlanta. We spent all day flying out, and so we're like sleeping in the hotel. I think Friday night. And Steven went out with you guys. He like got dinner with our buddy Jason, and then he went to dinner with y'all or record with you guys, and he gets back late. I want to say it was like really late. I think I texted him. I woke up at like midnight and texted him, hey, if you end up spending the night with those guys, that's fine. You don't even have to tell me. I trust you.
Oh, that's great that you gave him permission. He could have stayed.
And I was like, because I don't really want you waking me and the baby when you get back. Was the subtext there? But so he did come back like an hour later. It was super late. I want to say it was like 2:00 in the morning, 1:00 in the morning, and so he comes in and he's like, Courtney, are you sleeping? Like right next to, because the baby is like asleep in her crib. It's like it's a hotel room, He's like, are you sleeping? I gotta tell you something. Will you come to the bathroom and like so we can lock ourselves in the bathroom so I can tell you what happened? And I'm like, I'm not. It's 2 a.m. I was asleep. I'm not coming into the bathroom with you. And he's like, okay, well he's whispering the whole time, very loud. It's not actually quieter. It's just the whisper voice, And he's like,
yeah, that's what Lisa tells me.
It was so funny. We were recording for like an hour, and then Troy, and I'm like, have you been drinking? He's like, no, not a drop. Anyway, so then an hour goes by, and
Right.
Troy wasn't recording the whole time, and the baby wakes up, and he's just like giggling and laughing, and he's like, and I got it all on camera.
Yeah, it was it was pretty funny. Like in that moment, I remember like looking over, I think at him, so I was like, I hope you got all this right. And
He did.
And so it was a good time, and the thing was like that first like 40 minutes was like really good conversation. Like we were having like really good conversation, and so then you're like, oh, you couldn't start over and get the same. Like you would have never got the same reaction and the same. So luckily, your husband saved us. And if you want to watch that podcast, you guys can go over to what is it? Two Peens in a Pod.
Two Peens in a Podcast.
Yep, Two
which
Peens and
you
a
sponsor.
Podcast. Yes. And you can check out that episode. So pretty funny shit.
It was good. I rewatched it. I rewatched it with Steven, and I got a good laugh out of it. There was really funny stuff in there, and I think one of the parts. I think the banter was just really good. Like you guys had good
Yeah.
topics, but you also had good banter, and yeah, no, Steven, again, he tickled pink that he was there for
Yeah.
that. Like,
Well, I don't
he
know.
barely slept.
I don't know if I've ever like properly thanked you guys for coming to Denver, because that meant a lot to me that you reached out and you guys wanted to come, and you followed me around, and it and I'm not always the greatest at saying thank you, and so I get too busy, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna tell them next time I see them, or I'm gonna make it up to them, or I'm gonna take them to dinner and thank them properly or something, and then I always let time just escape me. So seriously, I really, it meant a lot to have you guys there. So I appreciate the both of you very much.
It was genuinely like such a cool experience for us to go out there. We do a lot of stuff locally. We go to Daytona, we go to Tinley, but that's really it. And somewhere like Denver is like a fun place to go outside
Yeah.
of just a reptile show. And you guys, again, like you brought Steven, like over afterwards. I think y'all invited us to like get pizza with you and everything. It was genuinely, not only was it a really good time and that we felt really included and all that, just as like a guest at the show, it was such a good show that when you said you were coming to Charlotte, I was like, oh my God, we've got to, like, it's going to be so good. It
Yeah.
was, it,
Fingers
it
crossed.
had, it had aspects, and I don't know much about other show promoters, but it definitely felt like the people that were running it, you and Nick, knew what it was like to vend and what it was like to
Oh my
visit
God,
a
my
show.
dog.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Oh my, I'm gonna beat this dog. No, I'm not. I don't really mean that. Hey, go away.
Clip it,
Nobody
guys,
wants to hear
clip
you
it.
bark. Hey, be gone. Go away. Nobody likes to talk to you right now. He hears your voice, and so he thinks there's somebody here. Yeah.
I thought he just loved me and wanted to.
Yeah. Well, he wants
out
you to
with
pet
me.
him, and so
Yeah,
he's
my bad.
barking for attention. But yeah, I certainly hope Charlotte goes as well as Denver.
Oh, it will.
I
We'll
yeah,
make sure of it.
Nick and I talk a lot from a vendor standpoint, right? Like when we're deciding things, and I'm like, well, when I vend blah blah blah, I don't like that this happens. So I don't think we do it that way. We do it this way or whatever. And so, having a lot of years of vending under both of our belts, I think it's been a huge help to trying to run a show properly. And I think we have good people we look up to. Rami from the Reptile Super Show and Potter, like they've both been absolutely great, and they've been great role models for Nick and I. And it's been a fun journey so far.
Charlie, I didn't know you were going to be at Charlotte. That's really cool. Do you know Charlie from Reagan Renee?
That sounds familiar. I'm trying to
Okay,
picture
I just
their
didn't know
face.
if he was. I just wasn't sure if he was vending the show or if he was just coming down to visit, because I feel like that's not his neck of the woods. So that's really cool that
All
he's going to
right.
be going.
I either
that's
remember
really
people's
exciting.
faces and not their name, or I remember like their face and their Instagram name. I always joke that people should have to wear like their Instagram, Facebook real name or something, so I can be like, oh wait, I already know you.
Oh my God, I wish everybody just had their Instagram handle on them, because
Right?
I don't remember everyone, and Steven remembers everybody. He's so good at
Funny.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if Denver was going to be every year.
Yeah, so Denver should be twice a year. We have September coming up, and then we already have April booked. And then we can't do the same September weekend in 2025, so they're trying to give us a different day, and so we're working on that. And then hopefully in 2026, we're just the same weekends every year. So yeah.
This is a great question. It was also on Steven's list, which I never got back to. Sorry about that, my love. I'm so sorry. Please don't quit. We need you. You're a very important, vital part of the team. What made you want to become a showrunner, vendor, rather than just a vendor?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I come from a background of a lot of trade shows. I think from the photography standpoint, we did trade shows. I helped run shows. I helped run the trade show part or the photography part. I served on a national board. I served on a state board, and it's all revolved around trade shows or learning or whatever. And that's, to be honest, it's probably really my biggest joy in life. And so I kind of tinkered with the idea about trying to do like a local show or something just to like feed that, desire to do one. And Ryan from Reptilian Nation lost his venue. It was sold to the city of Aurora in Denver. And he was pretty up and honest that he wasn't going to look for something else. And so Nick and I met and talked. We both had talked before about, wanting to do a show stuff. And so the timing really just kind of clicked and made it happen. I think the desire for both of us was there for years. It just took the right timing. And so, that's really what catapulted us forward. But I thoroughly enjoy, trade show life. The educational part, is great. And Nick has really been quite helpful in that department. I hope we can do some educational stuff at Charlotte as well. That went really well at Denver. I think education stuff at trade shows or at reptile shows has kind of dwindled or kind of died off. Tinley used to have like these big areas for show for like talks and stuff, and they just kind of went away. And so it was kind of a gamble to do it, but we were probably over capacity in the room all 3 times that we had the 3 people speak. And so, we're hoping that continues, and we had a lot of good remarks about that. So, that's it in a nutshell. It's something I've always enjoyed, whether it was photography or, this. I enjoy the trade show life. And so it was finally the right timing for me to move forward with it.
I know I know that there has got to be so many like expenses that go into running the show, like the venue, the marketing, all of that. Is it, and you don't have to be specific, but like, is it lucrative for you to like run those shows?
I think it can be, right? Like, and I think some shows are always going to be better than the other. I feel like what Nick and I made at Denver made it feel like it was worth the time and the effort. And so I was happy. Could it be better? Sure. Could it be worse? Probably, right? Like,
it was the first show.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to run into, and Charlotte's it's a big venture, and so it's a lot more money. We have a lot more, I think, risk, and hopefully the reward is, whether it's great or not. I just hope it's perceived well and attended well. And as a vendor, my biggest concern before I make $1, I want the vendors to do well, because I know what it's like to be there all weekend and just feel like you got gut punched. And so Nick and I are constantly trying to figure out, how do you get more people in the door? And I think the bad thing is it's perceived that there's so many shows where that's all the promoter cares about because it's $1 in their pocket. That's not our main goal. Like, Nick and I's main goal is to get people to the door so that you have an opportunity to sell them, right? Or to educate them, and maybe they buy later down the road. And so that's been the biggest thing, is it's always number one. He and I talk all the time, like, how do you get more people through the door? And so,
I think that it's, to me, people through the door is fantastic. But and this is going to sound like kind of lousy, but like the quality of people through the door is also like a big deal. Having people travel to your show, I think, just makes such a big difference, but because it turns into an event, it turns into something that people, they don't just want to go to see the animals, they want to go to see the people that they're friends with, the people that they know. It's kind of like the first couple Tinleys after COVID, or the first Daytonas after COVID. Those shows were like to see people and to hang out and to like experience like camaraderie with like people you have something in common with, strippers, people that you only talk to online. So I think that having a show that people travel to, like Charlie talking about coming down, I think he's in New Jersey. Forgive me if I'm wrong there, Charlie. Having so many people go into Denver. Like you had people from Illinois, South Carolina, you had people from California, all over the place traveling in, not just to vend, but to just come to the show. And I think having shows like that or having an experience like that makes a show so fun, and it gets more people more excited to go.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I see a couple of comments rolling in. I appreciate you guys as well. And one of them, we talked about the plants, and I see that FNA is talking about it right now. Nick and I, we really believe that the plant and reptile thing is just a parallel world. If you're into vivariums or just live plants within your, tanks and lizards, it's like, so now you can go buy these plants. And the plant people are now like, not only can I put them on a shelf, but I can buy this chameleon and I can put these live plants in this terrarium and blah, 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 right? So they went hand in hand. And I think that was one way that Nick and I were like, how do you get more qualified people through the door, not just people through the door, that would hopefully spend money, vice versa, right? And so the plant and reptile side of things really, I think, go hand in hand. And so that was kind of a win-win for us.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that there was a lot of people talking about like having plant owners that could say like, this is safe for your snake, your gecko, your invertebrate. Because you guys had invertebrates there. I think, did 2 tables of invertebrates sell out the first day?
2 tables of that sold out, and then 2 of the plant vendors both sold out between Friday night and Saturday, and both, like all 4 of those people had to go back to like Denver, and I think even one of them bought some wholesale from another vendor
just to have something to sell.
Just to have something at his table on Sunday. Yeah, which is great. Like they were ecstatic. I mean, they came running to us to tell us this information, and so that was really neat to hear and see.
And I think Thomas in the chat has a good point as well. The weather was, the weather was as, I don't want to say bad because I'm, again, from South Carolina. I haven't seen snow in 7 years. I don't see snow, and I don't know what to do in snow, and I don't know how to park in snow, and I don't want to walk in snow. I hate snow. So like the fact that people still came, to me, the fact that people still showed up with it being snowing, South Carolina would have shut the place down. So nobody would have showed up. They would have canceled the whole thing. But like people being willing to drive out, park in the snow, because you did have to park in that farther away parking lot, which on a sunny day, it is what it is. Nobody cares. Yeah. But like when it's cold and snowing and you're wrangling a toddler, it's a little more frustrating. Oh my God, my cat just scratched my butt. It hurt so bad. It scared me. Sorry.
Oh my God, that's great.
All right. The cat, gone. No more cat. That's Steven's cat.
That's great.
God, he got me good. The fact that so many people still came out, like, just imagine if it had been a sunny day,
Yeah, I woke up that morning, I'm being really honest. Like, I was in our Airbnb room, like, in tears. Like, I was so concerned. Again, I want the vendors to do well. And then there's Nick and Lauren, right? Like, they're our partners, and I want the show to go well for their benefit as well. And so, Nick kept telling me, like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And so 10 days out previous, I have my weather app, Castle Rock, Colorado, and 10 days out, it's like cloudy and 55. And then it was like cloudy and 48. And then it was like rain, 45. And like every day it kept changing. And like day before, it was like 3 to 6 inches of snow. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that, this is just, it just seems like this is like, we're not supposed to be here. Like, this is God telling me, like, you can't have a reptile show.
I think it was the exact opposite.
Yeah, it worked out really, really well. Like people, obviously it's snowing, like they can go to a reptile show, spend the time inside and, get out, get away from the weather and still be able to be out and do something. And so in some ways it probably helped us. Yeah.
And again, I think had the weather been nicer, it could have been more of a, like, there could have been more people there. I don't know. But I think what it did is it showed you that even with, crazy weather, it was still a fantastic show. And just like, it's only going to get, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get easier. We have hurricanes out here in the Carolinas, so we'll see what we get in September.
Let's hope there's not one.
But yeah, no, I know a lot of people like Trevor from Ball Labs. He was just like, every time we stop by, he's like, I'm up to 18, I'm up to 19 sold, I'm up to 20 sold.
Yeah, he sold a ton.
Like, he was just slinging them out. So
Nick and I tried to walk the show and like talk to all the vendors. That was something that somewhat, was important to me as well. Like, sometimes I feel like you're just a number to the promoter, your booth number, whatever. And I wanted to be more personable. And so, we I don't know if we got to everybody, but I know we tried. And, really every vendor we talked to was excited about their sales. There was, I think, if I remember right, between Nick and I, there was like 4 or 5 that didn't have a great show. And I think no matter how many people you get in there, that's just going to happen. You don't have the right inventory, or they bought something before they got to your table, or whatever the case may be. And so, unfortunately, somebody's not going to have a good show. But to have, we had 92 vendors, I think, at that show, so to have 87 of them or something do really well and at least make us feel like they did, that's a big win.
Before you like announced the show and everything, we had talked about the potential for like doing like a get together, like a breeder meetup at some point. Was part of that, like, I know you said that I've been wanting to do that for so long. I think about it and I never get around to it. Was doing the show, did it kind of like sate that desire? Did it kind of replace that desire?
No, I think I still want that to happen. And I think about it a lot still. Yeah. Like, I think it would be really fun to have if you could get, this doesn't sound stupid, if you could meet in some area like that and still have hundreds or even thousands of like-minded people to get together and just hang out, like no sales, no show dates and times, like nothing in the way. It's just hanging out. Like, I would be all for that, right? And obviously at a small scale, it's probably not hard to do. For me, the hardest part for me personally is like, where do you draw the line? Because I would invite everyone, and it would probably get too big very fast. But I would still love to do something like that where it's not around a show. The problem is you can't talk to everybody. If you're vending, you can't talk to everybody because you're busy. And then it's like, hey, Troy, you want to come to dinner? Hey, Lisa and Troy, you want to come to dinner? And you hear it 10 times. And it's like, I can only make one of you happy. I can only say yes to one group of people, or really 2, because you have maybe Friday night and Saturday night. And then it's like Sunday, everybody's trying to get the hell out of there. And I hate that. Like, I want to hang out with everybody because to me, it's the people. I mean, I enjoy seeing the animals and stuff, but I would rather see my friends than anything else. And so I would love a get together. I just don't know how to make it happen where it's feasible and easy and can have a good group size of people. And I don't know what the magic answer is.
I know what you mean, because a lot of times at Tinley we'll have somebody be like, oh, do you want to like go get dinner Friday night or something like that? And it's always like, actually, Friday night, like, we already have everything planned. Like, Saturday night, we're getting
I feel like I'm letting people down always. Yeah.
Friday night, we go to the bar at the hotel to see everyone. Like, we're not going to go out to a specific dinner. Or if we are, we're going to go early and we're going to, like, it's going to be like a kind of a private thing. It doesn't, we try not to get dinner with like just one person, which that's what you maybe at like a smaller show, like stuff like that. But when we're at Tinley or at Daytona, we're trying to see as many people as we can. So you feel bad letting people down or being like, no, I don't want to get dinner with you, or sorry, I'm already busy. I already have plans with somebody else. And also like the idea of being like, actually, if you want to get a drink, and not everybody drinks, and some people don't want to be around it at all. And then, you feel bad because again, you're letting someone down, and it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Like TRS was just saying, I've thought about like, how could I do something on a Sunday night where it's just like, or even at our Denver show, could I book out the place through Monday morning and just say, hey, Sunday night after teardown, we're just going to hang out in here, right? Like, we can all talk. We can maybe cater in the pizza or something, right? And you could everybody could talk. You could have small groups. You could mingle around. Again, it's so hard to find the right answer. And so, I'll say this. I think things happen at the right time when it's, supposed to. Just like people coming into your life. The right people come into my life always at the right time. And so I think this idea that you've talked about, I've talked about, Patrick's talked about, I think it's going to happen. I just don't know when yet. It's not an if, it's just a when. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got to, there's a lot that goes into it because like we have kids. So do we bring the kids? Do the kids stay back? Who's going to watch it? So it's always hard, and everybody always wants it to be like local to them. That's actually, and I'm sure you've noticed this with like being a show promoter now. We did a video on going to your show, and we've had a lot of people say things to us like, oh, there should be like a ball python only show, which whether or not I agree with that isn't what this is about right now. But it's always like, you should do it where I live in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I live in, so I'm not going to throw first of all, I'm not doing a show. And if I was, I would probably do it local to me to start. I wouldn't start in New Mexico, at your hometown. They'll be like, and I get it. I totally get it. It's not like I'm not making fun of them. But they will be like, oh, there's a great venue near my house in Idaho. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Then you should organize it.
As like a show promoter, right, you hear it all the time. And even as like a vendor, you hear it all the time. Like you overhear it in conversations. Now I take a little bit more. I'm always like, oh yeah, that sounds neat. But actually, like I immediately put it in my phone because I want to look. Like I want to go see what they're talking about, especially when they're like, oh, there's this venue and it's blah blah blah, and it's really cool and it houses a aquatic show once a year, and like I immediately am drawn to like, okay, well, and then thanks, appreciate it, and then I put it in my phone, and then I usually tell Nick like, we need to check this place out, and you could put together 100 shows a year if you wanted to, but I don't think I want that at all. But there is a ton of them, and it is funny. Even here in Fort Dodge, Iowa, where it's 26,000 people, and we don't have an event center. I saw a post one time, and me and Chris from Epic Style always joke about this, but this kid from Fort Dodge wrote like, you should do your reptile show here at Fort Dodge, Iowa, and where? Like, doesn't even make sense, right?
At your house.
Yeah, it's like, I love that you want a reptile show, but be realistic, right? Like, they can't all be in the back of a VFW or something, so. Yeah.
We had, like Thomas says, come to Wyoming. It has, well, not much. You can just have it out in the open. So we are doing a breeder meetup for our Patreon, to kind of sate it for Steven, because, he really wanted to do that as well. So part of the Patreon is that we wanted to organize a meetup. But the thing is like, do you attach it to a show? Do you just do it freestanding? If it's freestanding, are people going to travel in for it? We've got people from all over the country. America's a big, the U.S. is huge. Are people going to come in for that? Like we're like, oh, we'll pay for dinner and, stuff like that. But like, we can't buy people's plane tickets.
Right.
We just can't do that. And so we kind of feel like we had to attach it to a show. And then again, with like people inviting everyone, like we're like, okay, we're going to do it this night. That way it's not too early that people aren't already in. It's like a good day for it.
Was that your cat?
Then we're getting, he knows. I think he knows. So funny.
All I hear is,
I was going to pick him up, but he ran away. He knows.
He ran away.
It is really hard to organize it, even with a fairly small number of people that are absolutely interested in coming because they signed up for the Patreon. Like we know they want to do it, but even still it's tough.
I did think about doing photography wise, we have a show called WPPI that's in Vegas. 10, 12, 15,000 photographers, but a lot of groups like us, like where it's a big friend group, or you want to get, they do deals like 2 or 3 days ahead of time. And so it's, hey, here's where we're going to be. This is where we're staying. Make it, you make it. And it works out pretty well. And I actually thought about doing it at St. Louis NARBC. St. Louis is kind of middle of the country, a lot of easy to fly in and out. So like if the show is, technically Friday, Saturday, Sunday, could we be like, come in Wednesday, we'll hang out Wednesday night, Thursday night, and then whoever needs to go to the show goes to the show, and whoever doesn't, take off or whatever. St. Louis is pretty inexpensive, a lot to do. There's a free zoo there, which their zoo is phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite zoos ever. And so, like, I think that could be a lot of fun is, have kind of a day trip planned, and then everything else, maybe let it kind of freely. But yeah, I think like instead of everybody going to dinner, like, if it's at the hotel, like, can you just rent out a meeting room? And hey, we're gonna have pizza on Wednesday night, and the next day we're getting, whatever Italian food brought in or barbecue or whatever, right? And just everybody chips in some dollars, and you just take care of it. And you have a good time.
I think that just sounds like it sounds great. And I know there's a lot of people who they go out, they do things like, we've ended St. Louis, at the same time as you, and we didn't go to the zoo like you guys did. I don't think we did really anything. I think we hung out with like, Jen one night, and Steven got invited to the casinos, but he wimped out. And
yeah, good job, Steven. Don't go. Don't listen to those guys.
He does this thing where he's like, yeah, Courtney doesn't really want me to go. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. I don't let him. I keep him on a tight leash. Because they always, you're going to come to a strip club with us, Steven? And he's like, Courtney would kill me. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. Take it. He
just uses you as a scapegoat. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I would be so bummed if Steven went to a strip club. I'm just using him as a scapegoat to make myself look cool.
I love it. You guys are the greatest.
But this has been a really awesome episode. I know we're at like 2 hours. I didn't mean to keep you on so late.
No, you're fine.
Do you have an off-track with Troy question for yourself?
An off-track Troy question for myself? Wow. Can't I ask you a question instead?
Sure, if you want, you can take over for a minute and do the. Brittany is just slandering me in the comments again. Sorry, I did forget. Or Andrew, I forgot you both. Sorry.
What would you tell your 15-year-old self today if you could go back in time and talk to that person?
Invest in Uber, Netflix, and Amazon.
Nice. All right. Money driven. Okay. I like that. It's good. So that's a good answer.
So I feel like I am really happy, with like life and how things have turned out. I think that I'm very fulfilled in a lot of ways. I feel like there's not a lot of things that I would change. And I think I was a happy teenager. I don't feel like I have any regrets from being a teenager. I don't feel like I have any regrets from like college or anything like that. Like, yeah, I probably could have gone to class more or done better in class, but it hasn't affected me in a negative way.
All right.
I'm happy. I feel pretty fulfilled. So yeah, like the only thing, I don't need any more of anything. I'm pretty happy. But you can always have more cash.
Yeah.
So there's always that. I think a lot of people will, when they are asked that question, they say stuff like, "Oh, don't pay attention to what other people think." I wasn't. I didn't pay attention, whether for better or for worse. I was. I have this memory that I look back and kind of cringe on. I was on the basketball team, and like maybe was a bit more sheltered than other girls like on the team, and my parents got me the new Weird Al Yankovic CD, like the white and nerdy one, if you remember when that one came out, and I was obsessed with that CD. I thought it was peak comedy. I was probably in middle school. It was the funniest thing on the face of the earth. And I was like going to other girls on my team, like, oh my God, you've got to listen to this, like trying to get them to listen to my headphones. They all had much more mature taste in music than me. And all of them like would look at me like, okay, like that's nice, honey. Like, go listen to your silly songs with Larry.
Like a bless your heart. Yep.
Oh my God. I was like, no, you don't get it. It's called Weasel Stomping Day. Like, that's funny. And they were like, okay. And so
they weren't your friends.
No, they weren't. I mean, people. They weren't. They weren't. And that's totally fine. They weren't mean or anything, but like they weren't my friends. And it didn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was that kid. But like, I wouldn't go back and have to tell myself not to worry what they thought of me because I didn't think, I didn't care.
That's good. You should probably do a podcast about your confidence as a teenager and through to now, and you would probably reach a lot of people that need it.
I think I learned something in like a psychology class that I took that was essentially like, do you notice when people have like a tiny hole in their shirt? You don't. Nobody notices the tiny hole in your shirt. You notice more about yourself than anybody else. Yeah. Nobody is paying nearly as much attention to you as you are. Nobody knows that you gotta like, and I think that was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I don't care anymore. So that was like a good thing for me. And I also deflect when I'm uncomfortable, and I hide it with fake confidence.
All right.
Yeah, so
I try to hide everything with comedy. That's how I typically deal with whether it's sadness or anger or something. I typically try to. That's why I say a lot of off-the-wall dumb shit in front of people because I'm probably nervous and I'm trying to cover for it.
100%, because it is the comedy aspect of it, because people like when they say nice things to me, or they're like, my thing to always say is like when somebody compliments me and I get like uncomfortable or whatever, they're like, oh wow, like you're. I can't even think of something to pretend to say because it feels awkward. But like if somebody were to compliment my appearance or like say like, oh, you're pretty, I'd be like, I know, thank you. Yeah, stop it. But no, really, go
stop
on.
It some more. Yeah.
And that type of thing, I think some people are like, that's confidence, but honestly, it's deflection. It's just
I love it. At least you're honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jared's got a good point. Even if they do see that tiny hole, they go back to thinking about themselves 3 seconds later. I remember, again, I'm not going to keep talking about high school because I meant to wrap this up, and now I'm just talking about high school. But I remember in high school, one of my classmates being like, have you ever noticed that so-and-so only has like 2 pairs of jeans? Like she just cycles the same 2 pairs of jeans every day. And I'm like, no, and it's kind of weird that you do. And like, her getting flustered and embarrassed for like pointing that out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you're right, and it's the simplest thing to kind of like check someone, even anyway, I didn't mean to go on a tangent, man.
You were good. Your husband has put up on the screen about coming and doing the Troy interview.
Yes.
We definitely need to make that happen. And I saw Nick says it should be around one of our events. I think what you guys need to do is you need to fly up here, and then you guys drive out to Colorado with me. We can do like
to Iowa and drive to Colorado.
Yeah, and then we can do like the interview in the car.
So I don't think we can make it to the next. Stephen, I'm sure Stephen is going to like make a comment and then highlight his own comment, but. I don't think we can make it to the next Colorado. I think we have another commitment.
Well, there will be
worst case scenario,
Colorado.
we do. Yeah, we did. I'm sure they were on Spirit.
Lisa, do you want to come say hello before we go? No, you don't, because you don't love Courtney, or what?
Lisa, I made you bread.
Shower?
Oh, she said no because she just got out of the shower.
Okay, well, my
She
ego
sucks.
took a blow, but that's okay. So the docuseries that we're doing, we're going to release part of it this fall and part of it next fall. So if we do that in April, we could definitely make that happen.
A
Steven,
little road trip together, and then we can have Redline sponsor it, and you could
make it the Redline road trip.
Yep. You guys can interview me going down the road. That's probably when I'm in the most free thinking mind, because I'm really happy just driving and like not having any worries at the moment.
So that's what we did with, well, again, I feel like I'm going off on tangents now, but that's what we did with Bob. And when we followed him up to Tinley, and they leave at midnight. And I don't like driving at night. I get sleepy. So do you leave at midnight?
Sometimes. So like
Steven unbooked the tickets.
Yeah. For I'm trying to think here. California, sometimes we'll leave at midnight, and then we'll meet up with like Chris or somebody in the middle of nowhere by Denver or something and follow the rest of the way out or whatever. So typically, like we like to drive places that we've been familiar with at night, so that way it feels more comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll definitely talk more about that. And for those of you watching, Steven and I have been working on a little docuseries following around several breeders and individuals in the industry, and we're really excited about it. We've been editing Corey DeLong's episode today, so
nice.
We're excited about it. It's pretty good. Where can folks find you, Troy?
I'm pretty easy to find. Instagram. In my closet. Instagram, Facebook, Morph Market, Best Dressed Balls or Troy Schroeder, either one of them. There's probably both. I'm not too hard to find, and I may not always be answering things immediately, but I'll always do my best to get back to you.
We really appreciate you coming on tonight. I know Molly was under the weather. She stuck it out for an hour. I wasn't expecting that. But I know how excited Jared. It's in fall is when we're gonna start that mini docuseries. But she stuck it out for an hour, and I know it's because she really wanted to have you on and chat with you tonight. So thank you, Molly. I'm sorry you couldn't be here the whole time. I know you'll catch the replay though.
There you go. Yeah.
So
Doug, what's up, Doug?
There's been a lot of cool people in the comments. You can find Molly at Chimera Reptiles on Instagram. I believe they're also on TikTok, YouTube, and Late to the Mic as well, which Troy is also on. And we are Leviathan Snakes on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. But the TikTok sucks, so expect a lot from there.
If you guys really want to go follow something, you can go follow All American Reptile and Plant Expo.
Yeah, plug it. All right, well, we're going to say goodnight, and thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.